Welcome to the 5:30 p.m. September 7th special meeting of the City Council for the purpose of the first budget hearing for fiscal year 2022. We do have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order. Would you please join me in a moment of silence? And the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, would you read the rules to speak, please?
Yes. Individuals wishing to speak on agenda items must complete a sign-up card and present it to the clerk prior to the item being introduced. Sign-up cards are available on the table in the council chamber. Comments made under public comments must relate directly to the agenda item. No sign-up card is required. Citizens will be given 3 minutes to speak on all items.
Thank you very much. City Manager.
Yes, sir. Introducing tonight's agenda, 2 public hearings are required by state law to adopt a millage rate and a budget by the taxing authority levying a millage rate. The first public hearing, the tentative hearing, is advertised on the notice of proposed property taxes or a trim notice mailed by the property appraisal. The final public hearing will be advertised within 15 days of adopting the tentative millage and budget. The final budget hearing will be held 5 days, but no less than 2 days after the advertisement appears in the newspaper. In the hearings required, the first substantive issue to be discussed shall be the percentage increase in millage over the rollback rate necessary to fund the budget, if any, and the specific purposes for which the ad valorem taxes are being increased. During such discussion, the governing body shall hear comments regarding the proposed tax increase and explain the reasons for the proposed increases over the rolled back rate. The general public shall be allowed to speak and ask questions before the adoption of any measures by the governing body. The governing body shall adopt its tentative or final millage rate before adopting its tentative or final budget. 5 ordinances will be introduced for the first reading with respect to the final adoption of the proposed FY22 budget. 1 adopting the millage rate for the operation of the city and a voted debt service millage rate on the Service 2005 general obligation bonds. 1 adopting the general fund and related budgets of the city. 1 changing the charges for services of the water and sewer utility enterprise fund. And 1 changing the services for the solid waste utility enterprise fund, and 1 adopting the enterprise funds and capital improvement programs budgets for the city. The tentative operating millage is 8.2461 mils, which is 10% above the revenue neutral rolled back rate of 6.8586 mils. The voted debt service levy of 0.2941 mils is 50.4% below the maximum levy authorized by the Series 2005 general obligation bonds of 0.5930 mils and is 0.026 mils reduction over the FY21 rate of 0.3147. What we're doing here tonight is conducting the first public hearing on the city's proposed budget for FY22. We'll read the related ordinances to adopt the tentative operating and voted debt service millages, conduct the first reading of the ordinances proposed by the FY22 water, sewer, and solid waste rates, and adopt the tentative operating, enterprise, and capital budgets. Next, the city attorney will read the ordinances for the record.
City Attorney.
Ordinance number 22, 2021, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, providing for the millage for the operation of the City of Titusville and voted debt service levy for fiscal year 2022 and providing for an effective date. Ordinance number 23, 2021, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, adopting the general and related budgets of the City of Titusville for the fiscal year 2022 and providing for an effective date. Ordinance number 24, 2021, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending utility service rates and charges, amending Articles 2 and 4 of Chapter 21 Utilities of the Code of Ordinances, amending Section 21-27 related to the Cross Connection Control Program, amending Section 21-241, 21-243 and 21-244 related to water and sewer rate schedules, water meter charges, utility bills, and related matters, providing findings, ratification, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date. Ordinance number 25, 2021, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, amending Section 16-116 of the Code of Ordinances by amending and establishing an increase to the residential monthly charge for solid waste, recycling, and additional cart fees, and by amending Section 16-117 of the Code of Ordinances by amending and establishing an increase to the commercial dumpster and commercial can monthly charges for solid waste and recycling fees, and increasing the commercial dumpster rental fees, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, an effective date, and incorporation into the code. Ordinance number 26, 2021, an ordinance of the City of Titusville, Florida, adopting the Enterprise Fund and Capital Improvements Program budgets of the City of Titusville for the fiscal year 2022 and providing for an effective date.
And Mayor and Council, I'd like to go ahead and do our presentation, staff presentation at this time.
Please, thank you.
What we're at right now is September 7th, the first public hearing. The final public hearing will be September 15th. And tonight, the proposed millage rate of 7.2145 was adopted on the July 27th meeting. The proposed vote debt millage rate of 0.2941 mils. The approved tentative millage rate is 8.2461 mils. And the budget workshop was conducted on August 11th. This is your first public hearing, followed by the final public hearing on the 15th, as discussed. The millage rate itself, the FY22 budget is built at the current rate, which is 5.19% above the rollback, which is 6.8586. The fiscal year 22 approved tentative millage is 8.2461, which is 10% above rollback, and yields an additional $2.36 million in ad valorem revenue when compared to the proposed budget, allowing budgetary flexibility to council throughout the budget process. During the public hearing, council must discuss the percentage increase in millage over the rollback rate, if any, to fund the general fund budget for purposes of which the ad valorem taxes are being increased. And you'll hear the public comment regarding the increase in ad valorem and millage rates. The FY22 budget, again, is 5.19% over rollback, which generates an additional $1.2 million this year. This is a tax increase. The proposed use of these dollars is a 3% COLA pay adjustments to certain employees to bring their positions closer to market. In addition, we are bringing on to bring on 3 new firefighters, 3 new police officers, 2 dispatchers, and equipment for public safety and staff. Sorry about that. I got a little bit ahead of myself there. Back in February, the council approved the strategic goals and objectives. They're listed 1 through 5 here for your review. The FY22 budget environment, property values continue to increase. They're 7.9% for FY22. State revenues are coming in above estimates. Building development activities continue to increase. Operating costs and personnel costs are also increasing. Healthcare costs are increasing steadily. We do have a significant OPEB liability that we're working every year, and over $14 million in unfunded liabilities. The next 5 slides talk about our budget priorities. You've seen these at the workshop. And this is what staff was given guidance to build their budget. So we are continuing to work with our Lean Six Sigma methodology for performance measures. The FY22 strategic goals were directed by City Council. We continue to pursue economic development opportunities through the use of ad valorem, tax abatements, and other economic incentives. We are investing in our committed employees' professional development by providing them opportunities to participate in best practice training opportunities. We continue to evaluate and adjust employee compensation and cost of living adjustments and benefits to attract and retain the best in class. We are using a 3% cost of living adjustment U.S. government workers are proposed at 2.7% COLA, and the Social Security Administration has indicated that they will provide a COLA over 6% this year. And we will maintain general fund emergency stabilization reserves at the current levels. Using the 5-year plan, I think, am I there? I can barely see. There we go. Using the 5-year plan, this budget proposes a 3% increase in operating. We plan to use that 3% for FY22 and 23. For budgets 24 through 6, we're estimating that the cost of operations will be increased at 5%. We're continuing to focus our budgets on near and midterm capital requirements, public safety enhancements, public outreach, infrastructure improvements, including roads, utilities, information technology, and public facilities. And we always have to adjust our current staffing levels as identified by staff as shortfalls. We're continuing to examine the effectiveness of our health insurance plans and policies to address the rising cost of and quality of care provided to our employees. We will continue to aggressively address the OPEB, trust fund liabilities, and encourage managed growth by low-impact development principles as a means of developing attractive environment while protecting our natural resources. In addition, this year we have the incorporation of the American Rescue Plan Act revenues, and this is to respond to the public health emergency, also compensate workers for performance of essential work during the COVID pandemic, provide government services to the extent of reduction in revenues due to COVID, and make the necessary adjustments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. The FY22 proposed budget is $120,698,970. You'll see in this pie chart that 58% are charges for services and 18% are generated from property taxes. The expenditures, you'll see that 21% is for water resources and 25% are your big consumers of public safety. And of that, your general fund budget, 50% of the general fund will go to public safety. When we compare the millage rate to other cities, you'll see on this chart that 4 cities are proposing to increase their millage, 3 cities have indicated that they're going to decrease their millage, and 6, which is also we're a party of, are staying at the current millage rate. And Titusville is highlighted in blue. When you compare the FY22 proposed budget per capita, you'll see that we're on the low end of that, with West Melbourne being at $204.56. Titusville is at $355.23. On the far right end, Indian Atlantic is $982.19. And Cocoa Beach didn't make it, but they're the highest at $1,079.14. This is our proposed tax of where the taxes go. This is a homesteaded property that's assessed value is $172,577. You'll see that 35% or $876 goes to the Brevard Public Schools. 36% goes to the City of Titusville, which is $920. And Brevard County is 20% at $504. You also see the additional taxing, which is the 2 MSTUs, the St. John's Water Management District, and other taxes. This particular homesteaded property, again, is at the same value of $172,577. The difference is the millage rate at 10% above your rollback at 8.2461, which is the max. And you'll see the generated property tax values to each one as indicated on the previous slide. As we went through the budget workshop, Staff has indicated that they have identified, identified for over $14 million in unfunded priorities. We have narrowed the list of unfunded priorities to give council the top 10 priorities, which are listed here, and the proposed cost of each one of these items, should you be interested in adding in any of those, and the required millage rate that will be associated with any of these projects. These top 10 projects total a little over $1 million. Additionally, through our funding considerations, this is water resources. These are our enterprise funds, and that's the top priorities through millage is $271,000. So this is where we're at. The city attorney has read for the record the first readings of the ordinances, and this is the recommended actions of council. Tentatively adopt the operating millage of 8.2461, tentatively adopt the voted debt service millage of 0.2941, and tentatively adopt the general fund and related budgets, tentatively adopt the enterprise and capital improvements program budgets. And that concludes my portion, as council will now deliberate, and knowing that your final step is the adoption at the final public hearing on September 15th.
Thank you very much. Basically what we do now, and I'm doing step by step on this, is my rookie season in this. Basically, we're going to talk about 22 and 23. The percentage increase in millage over the rollback rate necessary to fund the budget, if any, and the specific purposes, reasons why the ad valorem tax revenues are being increased over the rollback rate. Basically, we're looking at the millage and the general budget. So we're going to do 22 and 23 together. By that I mean we will talk about both of those. We will call cards on both of those before we vote on either of those. So with that said, again, using Walt's saying, council, what's your pleasure? I don't see any lights. We need lights. Remember, if we're going to discuss, we need lights. Member Robinson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as I read over this, everything looked fine to me, but I have some concerns with what as I've been reading about inflation as we go along, and I know that there's some, we have some, the staff has led us through this and have some protective bounds in there that are going to be good, but I am still very concerned because I know that there is, I believe that some things are going to happen in the future that we have to be prepared as we go forth and protect the citizenry of these and not be so out of touch with those that unemployment. We know that we're experiencing a very low unemployment rate here in the city of Titusville, but as I also know how they gather that information, it doesn't always signify the individuals who are unemployed. We know that today, I don't know whether it ended today or ended on the 1st. We know all of the unemployment benefits that was coming out of Washington, D.C. has been ended. We don't know how that is going to affect us. And we have the COVID also. That is the variant, Delta variant that is coming along. And I'm just thinking how it's going to affect us here in our area if both parents which used to work, one of them choose to not go back to work because of all of the disruptions, I'll call them, in our educational system with kids going back to school and wearing or not wearing masks, taking shots or not taking shots. So as we can, as I looked at it in trying to get a better understanding on the rollback piece of it, so that what we are actually getting in for versus what we can get in by or bring in by the law, and I think that that's creating some very good cushions. Also, we are looking at, as we have been talking about the tree ordinances and so forth, we got a lot of development going on, but we know that we're running out of space to build, and we have to look at that in the future and make sure that the citizens are protected the best that we can, and as we consider the raising or the millage going up to what has been suggested to us, what it's going to long-term effect with some catastrophes that we have to kind of prepare for in the future.
Thank you, sir. I think that's a good overview as we enter into discussion. Vice Mayor.
I tend to agree with Joe. I think we need to be cautious in what we're doing. On the other hand, we're also growing, and I think our staff would appreciate not trying to carry the whole burden on their shoulders. I think we need to give them some relief. So, with that being said, Terry, how much is this over the property taxes last year? What is the difference?
It's 7.9%.
No, I'm talking about in our scenario with the house.
It's $1.2 million is what was generated at current.
Correct. But what would it be for an individual homeowner? With the little house that we have here?
Well, according to the tax at the proposed, it's about $75 a year more than last year's, which equates to $6.36 a month.
Okay.
For $159,000, or I forgot the $172,000 home, which we consider to be the average or the median value.
Okay, so $75 a month.
75. It was $845 last year. Now it's $920 proposed.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think I'm okay with that. I know we discussed some of the items that we wanted to include, and I did see the lights on US 1. Is that a third of it, or is that has to be a third of it, because the whole thing was more than that?
Yeah, no, it's nowhere near a third. That'd be probably just feasibility, preliminary permitting.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
Member Stokel.
Yes, I just had a clarification question. For 2023, are we doing that as well right now, or?
No, ma'am. What staff works off of a 5-year budget plan so that we can see where major ticket items are going to be. As an example, a fire engine is $500,000. A ladder truck is $1 million. So we need to know where those are at and how many police cars we're buying. So we program out 5 years. And what I've told staff in my guidance was to use 3% for this budget, next year's budget, and then the following 3 budgets use 5%.
Okay, so you don't need any guidance from us at this time regarding that. Okay. And then back to the millage rate, I definitely would like to see it stay at the current millage rate or potentially go lower, given that we are growing. I can see what we're doing with that additional $1.2 million in revenue, which I think are important. We need, as we grow, we need more officers, we need more public safety. So I'm okay with it. I just do not want to see us raise our millage rate, especially during these times for citizens.
So leave the millage rate as it is? Okay. Member Robinson.
Yes, and I hope I'm asking this question correctly. With all of the construction or the development or the new homes and a home that we're bringing online, how much of that was taken into consideration as we set this budget and at the rate, the goal that we're trying to achieve for this year?
There's a lag of when the actual development or house hits the tax roll, it's a year after the tax
Okay.
has been completed. So the things that are hitting right now would have been completed a year
Will
ago.
be figured into the picture next year.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. All right. With that, and I know that we have seen some increases from last year, if that's the way that it's worked, so that it looks good, and I'm in favor of moving forward with what has been introduced to us.
Okay, very good. If there's nothing else from council on input, we will call the cards on, first of all, I'd like the cards on 22. Once those are completed, we'll go to 23. We'll do those together before we go further.
Okay, for ordinance 22, we have one card. It's Stan Johnston.
Used to be color. Not color anymore.
Everybody's got one, I believe.
All right, roll.
Stan Johnson, 860 Poinsett Avenue. I don't think you want to hear me talking, but I'm going to object to this being called the first public hearing. We already had what was called a public meeting on this, and it was interesting. Interesting because what happened is that I asked for an agenda packet. The agenda packet included almost nothing. There was nothing. There was nothing. All it was the agenda. Now, I'm talking about the last meeting we had on this. But however, every council member had it. And what we had is we had on the overhead, we had presentations by staff of all these budget items. Went over it all. And guess what happened? No public comment was allowed on those items, except for a petitions and requests at the end of that. So we had all these five particular ordinances, and they were presented in detail. No public input. No public input allowed. This is the city of Titusville. So what we have tonight is we have a meeting, and we don't have the presentations, and we don't have the agenda packet that the city council members had. It's almost as if you've hidden it. And I've complained about what's going on here is that what Mr. Larice is doing. I call it nonsense, dishonesty, and secrecy. So if you're let's say plugging in something that we don't know about, you can easily do it. And I object to that. We should have had an opening for public speaking at the last meeting. Instead of right now, we have almost nothing being presented. And we're supposed to, I don't know, remember that, or we don't even have a copy of it. It was not in an agenda packet. I guess I'd have to get some kind of special information, request for records, just to see what happened at the last meeting. It's not right. I asked for more time. I don't think I'll get it.
I see none.
Okay.
City Attorney, for the record, can you comment on the propriety of the last meeting that was done in proper order, proper advertisement, et cetera? I'd like that on the record.
I believe the speaker is referencing the workshop where no action was taken.
Correct.
It was a workshop. We did allow public comment at the conclusion of the workshop. There was no action by council. That was not a public hearing. Tonight is the first public hearing. And tonight in your discussion, as you stated earlier, if we are going to go above rollback, we need to discuss the specific purposes or reasons why would be increasing that. And that is for discussion tonight. But the last meeting was a workshop. It was not a public hearing. Tonight is the first public hearing.
So it was a workshop, and the information brought up, the standards brought up, basically were non-action items.
Correct. There was no action taken at that meeting. It was a workshop. The action will be tonight. There were not ordinances to be addressed at the last meeting. It was a workshop. The ordinances are for first reading tonight and for first public hearing tonight.
And to clarify, these are first readings tonight, and like any first reading, they are tentative votes tonight.
Correct. Tonight, the first vote you'll have will be to adopt a tentative millage rate.
Tentative.
Yes, sir. And then you will adopt tentative budgets.
Thank you. Any other cards on 22? 23, please.
Stan Johnston.
Stan Johnston, thank you. My response to that is that at the workshop, what was going over was the justification for these ordinances, and so we did not have public input at that time. You can call it a workshop. You can say it wasn't a public hearing, but it was a public meeting. It was a public meeting in which you did not allow public input, whereas I want you to know in the past is we did allow, I'm not saying under Mr. Larice, but under other city managers, we did allow for public input, but not with Mr. Larice. It's a government here. What we have is a government of nonsense, dishonesty, and secrecy. And that's what's going on. So I don't know about this OPEB thing, but let's see. Let me check on 23 what I got specially. The general and related budgets, but it was just mentioned that we have a aggressive attack OPEB liability. I don't think so. So I'm going to ask for a correction on that, and that we have a $14 million unfunded liability that was mentioned tonight. And of course, OPEB can be a problem, although we're saying we're aggressively doing it. We just had $43 million approved for in the future expenses for only sewage, just sewage, the force mains, and we have 11 million, more than 10 million. It's $11 million for this new what's it called? It's we're upgrading our refuse, our not our refuse, but our recycled water, and so I asked myself the question is that this Rotary question that it talks about four methods of looking at a situation. The first one is it the truth? We're trying to find the truth here. At least I'm trying to find the truth here. And right now, as my handout gives you numerous situations, for example, the consent order, and where the city of Titusville was completely dishonest about when the sewage was stopping. It didn't stop December the 19th. It's continued. I mean, there's also budgetary items in there too. But the thing is that I'm looking for the truth, and I'm not getting it. No council members will talk to me about these issues, and certainly city manager won't. He hasn't talked to me, and after about 3 months, he was hired. So we have a situation here of secrecy, nonsense, and dishonesty. And why I'm talking about the nonsense is you know for sure is, for example, the spraying people with sewage and so forth.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, thank you. Any more? May I ask for more time? Another minute?
I see none.
Don't think so. Thank you.
Anybody else on 23?
Yes, sir. We have two more. Nathan Slusher.
Nathan Slusher, 860 Allendale Street, Titusville.
How you doing?
Good evening. Within the geographical limits of this city, there exist people who will never hold this amount of money within their entire lifetime. There are others who may acquire it within a decade. And there are still others who may hold it each week or even every day through daily earnings. And yet it is of my belief that not one of these constituents within our borders sat down on January 1st of this year and willingly wrote a check for their choosing to fund the city budget. When we have a budget of this size, of money that was acquired unwillingly, there's a standard to uphold. The mere allocation of money to individual divisions is only a piece of the puzzle. We must also be effective with that money. We must effectively use every dollar to not only solve issues of our city present, but also a future. We must be proactive as individuals and responsible for preparing the city for those that come after us. As a citizen of the city, I would personally like to see the city achieve 2 goals through the budgeting process. 1, remove all debt. A debtless society is a strong society. To quote George Washington on December 3rd, 1793, no pecuniary consideration is more urgent than the regular redemption and discharge of public debt. On none can delay be more injurious or an economy of time more valuable. And second, I would like to see the city become self-sustainable. Eliminate the need for any intergovernmental monies. The world is becoming less and less predictable by the day. We don't know where this country is going to stand in 5 years or 10 years. But this community has a far better chance of success all around if we're not relying on any money collected by any other government. I wish for us to lead the region of Brevard County in sustainability and increase our 84% sustainability rate to 100% sustainability. Please consider an adjustment in this direction.
Thank you. Next card, please.
Is it Trevor Mansfield?
I totally forgot about this. My name's Trent Mansfield, 1585 Pentax Avenue. Totally forgot about this meeting. Saw it on my YouTube feed, so I normally watch these videos or these meetings on YouTube, but last year I made the point of why doesn't the city of Titusville lead the way in reducing spending and lead the cities amongst Brevard County in reducing our millage rate? And I was rebutted by the current or the former mayor that the cities that I quoted, which was I think Cape Canaveral and some other cities, that our millage and our spending is much higher than that. That was not my point. My point is overall we should be able to reduce ours just like they do. And I just want to make some points. Real estate, I'm a real estate agent, not actively selling, but I'm a real estate agent so I understand it. When somebody sells their house and they bought it 20 years ago or 30 years ago and they sell it today, they don't get to keep that tax rate. So if they're paying $500 a year, their taxes are going to go up $2,000 a year or whatever that may be. So my question to you is, since real estate has been on fire for the past 5, 6, 7 years, how much every year has taxes gone up just from that? The building, you got a vacant lot. That vacant lot may bring only a couple $1,000s a year. But if you take a 10-acre lot and you put 200 lots on it, now you got a tax base that's astronomical compared to what it was before. So my question to you is, how much has that gone up? And I said it again last year, can the departments cut their budget? The government is notorious. They're better at spending money than you are, it seems like. So my question is can they cut their budgets? And I don't have much to say because this is all just notes jotted down from watching that up there. But I'll have more to say at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And points well taken. I'm not going to get into the big debate or anything because I do appreciate your words. But we really work hard. I think this is my 5th year doing this to maintain our millage rates. And I think per capita, we line up pretty good. But I would say I look out there for my experts. I don't try to be the expert. So with that said, are there any more cards? All right, so we need to work on 22 and 23, our millage rate, and adopt our general budget. I need some income, and then when we get to where we need to be, we need a motion. And I have the official motion we need to do when that comes up. Member Jordan.
Well, I was ready to make a motion.
Any other comments? I only see Member Jordan who's ready to make a motion. All right, very good.
Okay, Mr. Mayor and Council, I move to adopt a tentative proposed millage rate of 8.2461 mills, which is
10% above rollback.
What was it? 5.19%. Is that correct? What is it?
It's 10% above
10%.
rollback.
10% above rollback.
Above the rollback rate.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Do I need to do the whole thing?
Yes, sir. I would complete.
Well, let me get it right then. So 8.2461 mills, which is 10% above the rollback rate of, what's that number?
I believe it's 6.8586 mils.
Yes,
Rolled back rate is 6.8586 mils.
which is 10% above the rollback rate of, I guess y'all gonna make me do the work. So
6.8586. is that
yeah,
right?
that's what I said. Yeah, 6.856.
6.8586.
And what is the debt service millage?
.2941. Is that what we said?
All right, make sure I do this right now. Look like we're confused.
Yeah. I remember, I think Joe Lynn did that.
Yeah, your
last year.
proposed debt millage is .2941.
Got that right.
Right. So we've got a proposed millage rate of 6.856, right?
Your proposed millage rate set tentatively will be 8.261.
That's what I said before.
8.2461? Yes.
Okay,
8.2461.
8.2 which I had,
Yeah, you did.
right, which is 10% above the rollback rate, which is 6.856, okay. And to adopt tentative voted debt service millage rate of 0.2491. All right, Mr. Mayor and Council, I move to adopt a tentative proposed millage rate of 8.2461 mils, which is 10% above the rollback rate of 6.856 mils, and to adopt the tentative voted debt service millage at 0.2461 mils.
0.2941.
0.294 mil,
Or one.
right?
0.2941. You got it. Okay. We have that written down. You good?
A second.
All right.
Yes,
Oh, we
sir,
got
and
it.
this is in relation to ordinance number 22-2021.
Yeah.
And this 10% increase above rollback rate would be a percentage increase in property taxes tentatively adopted by council.
All right. We're solid. All right. I have a motion by Member Jordan. I have a second by Vice Mayor. Roll call vote.
Member Robinson.
Yes.
Member Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Diesel.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Member Stokel.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. I reiterate, this is a tentative approval because this is the first reading. All right, we move to the second one, adopt the general budget. Do I have any comment on that? Number 23, ordinance 23. If I don't have any comment or discussion, I'd be ready for a motion. I don't think I have an official paper on that, do I?
Move to adopt the general related budgets of the city of Titusville for fiscal year 2022. Tentative.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Nelson, a second from Member Jordan. Roll call vote.
Member Jordan.
Yes.
Mayor Diesel.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Member Stokel.
Yes.
Member
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously and tentatively. All right. We move to ordinance 24. I know there's other numbers with that, but 24, ordinance amending code increasing water and sewer rates. Council discussion. Member Robinson.
Yes. Again, we know that there's going to be some rollout or some kickback on as we move forward with this because many of our citizens think that it's already too large, high. But I think we came out with a good number as we talked about what the increases would be, what they would look like. And I think they were under $2 if on someone's bill. Is that correct? It was about $2. I think that's what it was. So I know that can be a large amount of money to some and not so large to others. but I think that with the way that things are going, at this point, I'm comfortable with tentatively approving that.
Thank you, Member Robinson. Could remind us exactly what the monthly rate increase is? It was like $1.54 or something like that?
At the 3% rate increase, the change to a 3/4 inch residential meter at 5,000 gallons is $2.54 per month.
$2.54, not $1.54. And for businesses, is there another?
Yes, for commercial accounts.
I just want them both out there.
Yes, sir. At a 3/4 inch meter at 5,000 gallons, the increase is $3.23 per month.
Very good. My feeling on that is we've certainly had our issues with some infrastructure and some water issues, et cetera. I think that we need to get it right, and to do so, we have to have money and to be able to do that. And for $2.54 a month at my house, we can do that. So that being said, let's go with anything else, Council, before I go to cards. All right, cards on Ordinance 24, amending increasing water and sewer rates.
We have one card. It's Stan Johnston.
Stan Johnson, 860 Poinsett Avenue. I certainly have problems with water, sewer, big problems that I've discussed, and I've talked to you about my differences with Mr. Stauffer. He doesn't return calls. He's been dishonest with me repeatedly, dishonest to FDP, dishonesty to City Council, and so forth. And that's very much shown in that handout that I've given you tonight, in which it shows that the consent order is completely false. And if you're looking at this Rotary idea, which Mr. Reese is a Rotarian, and so is Mrs. Nelson, is that I think they ought to think about what is true. And in this case, is the city of Titusville is very dishonest. Let me, for example, is one thing that should be addressed here is the boiled water alert, which you were given only a part of the picture by Mr. Stauffer. I called up and talked to FDEP, and they mentioned about something that he talked to them about, but didn't mention to you publicly, and that is the 4-log virus. In other words, is that the city of Titusville is one of very few municipalities in the whole of Florida that this pertains to, because they have set it up so that they don't have to that they are able to pass the 4-log virus test. So Mr. Stauffer talked to the FDEP about getting the city of Titusville also to qualify for that. Didn't tell you at all. So I think you should look into that, because that's another expense that you could look into in getting our treatment plant so our restaurants won't close down unexpectedly and with great losses and so forth. So this is something that should be in the budget. Furthermore, is that I'm disappointed that what we recently had is we had employees, city employees, who were not vaccinated, who were not trained in raw sewage, and yet they worked with raw sewage. That's an expense that should have been taken care of by employees who have been vaccinated and who have been trained in raw sewage, putting them at jeopardy. It shouldn't have happened. And that's what's happening in our city. One of the reasons it's happening because of what I've told you about Mr. Larice. Nonsense, dishonesty, and secrecy. What is he going to tell you? He's going to tell you nothing. You should have an investigation about what's going on here, having the truth put out. It's nonsense. It's dishonesty. I didn't call him a psycho this time, okay? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
2 more minutes. No, don't get it.
I see none.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments from any other cards? Yes. Are there any comments or questions from council? I see none. Do I have a motion on 24, 2021?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the amending the schedule and fees of water and sewer service?
That'll be at the next meeting. This is just the first reading, so if you do anything, it would be tentative. We would adopt it at the next meeting.
All right, let me back up.
Slow down.
Let me back up. Are we moving to vote on this?
You will vote to approve the water rate increase at the next meeting. This is first reading.
So we don't need to vote on it.
You'll,
So there's no more
Right.
votes?
tonight, we would need to vote on your budgets, which would be your enterprise fund, capital improvements budgets, and you've already voted on the general related budgets. Tonight, we were having first reading as part of the water and sewer increase. If you'd like to, you could vote to tentatively
I
adopt
could
it.
have swore I
but not
asked that
formally.
question an hour and a half ago.
Right, it could be
We're going to vote
tentative.
on everything, and you said yes.
It could be tentative. You cannot
changed
adopt
tonight.
it tonight.
Oh,
It would be
Okay, so change the word from adopt to tentative. If we don't have to vote, I'm fine with that too, because quite honestly, we're going to vote on it again next time.
Fine, tonight is just first reading. What you're required to do tonight is vote on the millage and on the budgets.
Which we did.
Okay, so we voted on the two things we need to vote on. We're back to where I was advocating for the fact that it's first reading. Why are we voting?
Yeah, you will also vote on the last item for tentative, which is your enterprise funds and capital improvement programs.
All right, that means we'll be better at this next year. All right.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry. I just need clarification because we have recommended actions here, and the third one is tentatively adopt general fund related budgets. Have we voted on that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
The
So-
first two are complete. We had to do those.
All
So,
right, so the last one is tentatively adopt the enterprise and capital improvement program budgets.
and we don't have to vote. Oh, the last one, okay. All right, so right now, on number 24, we don't need to vote on that yet.
So there's first reading, we took cards. We'll also take cards on ordinance number 25, which is next.
All right, so right now we will move to, thank you, sir. We'll move to 25-2021, increasing solid waste service charges. Anything from staff on that before we move forward? All right, council, questions? Member Jordan, that's probably not, that's not light, I bet. Okay. We have any cards?
Yes, sir. One card, Stan Johnston.
Okay, Stan?
Stan Johnson, 860 Poinsett Avenue. We're talking about solid waste. And so I'm opening my file on solid waste, and I wanted to list to you the number of the problems we have with solid waste and the complaints that I have. And I would like you to please listen carefully to what I have to say. And also on those lists of things which I gave in the handout. So when I opened my folder called waste, the first thing I read and the second thing I read and the third thing I read is the same thing. No comments. They're doing a great job. Thank you, Mr. Cook. I'll close with that. Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. Thank you, Mr. Cook. Keep up good work in your building that's still standing. All right. Any other cards? All right. This is the first reading. We don't need to vote. We move on to 26, or am I ahead of myself? 26, 2021. All right. Nothing from staff? Council? Cards.
One card, Stan Johnston.
Stan, you getting tired?
Okay. Stan Johnson, 860 Poinsett Avenue. And I'm speaking as a professional engineer on this particular item on 26. And is that because I'm concerned about, it seems like nobody's listening. And we have proof, and I've given it to you, and it's in this handout. We have proof that the city of Titusville has numerous flood zones, including the one at Baker Subdivision. The flood zones are incorrect. And what we did is we gave false reports by Mr. Stauffer and some other people about information given to FEMA in 2012. We didn't do it. Gave them false reports. And so what we have is we have numerous uncorrected flood zones. And one of those is Parkland Estates. And that should be in your budget. You should go ahead and correct it. I've asked Mrs. Nelson to do that. She said she'd help, and she didn't. So I'm looking for you to do that. And I'm also looking at something that is a violation that the city has done repeatedly for many years now, and that is that there are numerous large canals that lead water from the city of Titusville out of the city limits to the St. Johns River under I-95. So we have about 6 huge, I mean, not just culverts. I mean, we have box culverts, double box culverts, and so forth under I-95 between State Road 50 and I-95 that from there to the St. Johns River needs to be maintained as required by our stormwater management plan, but is ignored by planning department, ignored by city manager, and of course is ignored by council. So wait till the big storm comes, like it happened in Waverly, Texas. Wait what happens. You're going to be responsible. You need to budget for it. It's required by the stormwater management plan. It's required even by FEMA. And you're not doing it. Why are you not doing it? Nonsense, dishonesty, stupidity, secrecy. That's what we got from your city manager. He's not from around here. What does he care? You guys care. At least I hope you care. Because when it happens, when the big storm happens, we're going to come back to you and say, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you budget for it? And your answer will be what? Well, I listened to the city manager. You're not listening to the engineer. Get you an engineer. See what he says. Because it's nonsense. What you need to do is budget for these items that you're required to do. You're breaking the law. He's breaking the law. Your city attorney's breaking the law too. So what do you do? What do you do? You make up stories about me that some engineering company reviewed my correspondence and so forth. That's all fraud. You guys are guilty of that too. So, another minute? Probably not.
And I see none. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments, any other cards? Council, any comments on 26? And again, it's a first reading. Do we need to vote on this one?
You have to vote on this one.
Okay, so there are some first readings we vote on, and some we don't.
I'm so confused.
I'm right there with you, brother. Glad you sit next to me.
Oh, my God.
All right. I need a
Motion.
yeah. I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I move that we approve the tentative, adopt the tentative, I can't even say it, adopt the tentative enterprise and capital improvement program budget. Did I say that right?
An ordinance 26, 2021.
Yes,
What he said.
what he said, yeah.
Second.
I have a motion from Member Jordan, a second from Vice Mayor Nelson. Roll call vote.
Vice Mayor Nelson? Yes. Member Stokel?
Yes.
Member Robinson?
Yes.
Member Jordan?
Yes.
Mayor Diesel?
Yes. Motion passes unanimously in a first reading. Unless I'm mistaken, this is where, nope, I take it back. Petitions and requests from the public.
There's more.
Nathan Slusher, 860 Allendale Street. I actually want to ask if we can get some education for us that don't understand. Why are some tentative and why are some no votes? Like I really would like to understand it.
I appreciate that question.
Right, tonight's the budget hearing.
Yes.
By statute, you have to adopt tentative millage rate and tentative budgets.
Okay, so the
But
law.
also tonight, we put on the agenda the water rates and and solid waste rates, which are done by ordinance, and those are first readings. But those aren't the budget, and those aren't millage.
So
But they are ordinances which require first reading.
So to understand correctly, it revolves around Florida law.
Correct.
And whereas the others are Titusville law.
Right, and everything will be adopted finally at the next
Understood.
budget hearing, which city manager will announce before we leave tonight, the date and time for the budget hearing, where all of these will be considered for adoption.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
To continue that education, even the three that we voted on will be re-voted on because they are all voted on tentatively.
That is correct. So there's a proposed budget, tentative millage, proposed millage, and those will be voted on for final adoption at your next budget hearing, which city manager will announce the date and time.
Any other questions on that? All right, we're good. Thank you. I do appreciate. I'm not trying to be flippant, but sort of. That's good. Any other questions? Any other petitions, requests?
Stan Johnson, 860 Poinsett Avenue. For many years now, and even up to 10 years ago, well, even after that, is that is what I've noticed with the city council doing is we were pinching pennies. I mean, it was incredible. You know, we worked for trying to get funding for this, that, and like, for example, fireworks and so forth. We just pinched pennies. What we did I think it was the last council meeting, is that we had $43 million, and it went like that, saying, hey, let's go ahead and let's don't get a second opinion. Just go ahead and we're just going to approve what Mr. Stauffer put down as $43 million. This is just for sewer. Now, I'm not talking about water, just for sewer. $43 million. Almost no discussion. Zippo, like that. And here we are. In the past, the city of Titusville has been known for pinching pennies. I mean, if you all remember, when you go back about 30 years ago, what our streets looked like, and the complaints we had from citizens about not even repairing our streets. So the city of Titusville has been known for pinching pennies, but not now. In fact, is that we've adopted this $10 million recycled waters improvement. And there was little to no discussion. It was on the consent agenda item and it was approved. And guess what? There's no mention of maintenance and operation that's going to cost the city. This improvement is not an asset, it's a liability. There's no city in all of Florida that's going to have this except the city of Titusville. And the city of Titusville is going to pay out the yin-yang for maintenance and operation, materials and chemicals and so forth to have this done. It is a liability that you guys adopted. No questions asked. I can't believe it. I'm ashamed of what you did. I'm ashamed of it. It's ridiculous. Coming from Mr. Stauffer, he said, it's a great idea. So this is what's happening in the city. We got the $43 million. Actually, it was a $10 million for this improvement. So it's $11 million. And so there's $54 million right there. And it's just bingo like that. So this council is not operating like previous councils has operated that I have seen in the past year. I've been here 50 years. I haven't seen anything like this. You guys are different. Big time. And I think you should look at what the money you're spending because it's going to hurt the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I would say on that one, Stan, that as much as, go ahead and stay there a second, as much as you have talked about concerns with the water and sewer and the pictures we get constantly about the Sandpoint thing, that's serious to me too. It's serious to all of us. That's a big deal. But you can't fix it for free. And I don't know that we're fixing that, but when this all happened, one of the things I asked Sean about was, how do we know this won't happen somewhere else, and what can we do to make sure it doesn't?
Yes.
So we can't sit over here and say, this is terrible, and they did nothing, and then do nothing. I said last week in a meeting, Lou Holtz, a famous coach, always said that when all is said and done, a lot more said than done. Well, I'm all for getting something done, especially when it comes to the things you're talking about. Okay. So I want to toss that out there. You know, infrastructure costs money. Sewer pipes cost money. And if you look at what the budget, they're looking at infrastructure nationally right now, they're talking tias and trillions of dollars. So I would stand by that. I'm a big deal about infrastructure and roads. It's kind of when I get out of here, I hope they remember me for infrastructure and roads. Okay. I appreciate you.
Okay, maybe you get a second opinion.
Yeah. Well, I kind of think we did over there, to be honest with you. We got the contractor over there, so it's not just Sean making that up. So I appreciate you. All right, bye.
And that T with trillion is money that they do not have. But anyways.
They don't listen to me on there.
I know. I'm just putting that out there. So $43 million is probably money that we do not have. And that money was just spent, I feel like they're taking the sewage leak, which I don't even know if everything was told truthfully there, but I feel like they're taking that and we're just spending down the road for stuff that doesn't need to be done right this second. But what I wanted to talk about was last year, because I've only been coming to these meetings 2 years now, and I don't come to all city council meetings because I have life outside of here. But I always hear it's only 35 cents a month or 35 cents here or 35. Well, those 35 cents and $1.50s and $2, they all add up, right? I just did a calculation. I don't know if the $2.50 a day was what the $9.40. I don't know if that was for the current rate. The $9.40 for the house that was up on the thing. The $9.40, was that for the current rate?
That was proposed.
So that's proposed raising the rate. So
Right, from
Okay.
$8.45 to $9.20.
Okay, so that's at that rate, it's $2.50 a day. The rate that y'all just tentatively approved, 10%, is $2.86 a day. So that's 36 cents more per day that the city's going to charge, on average, each citizen in the city of Titusville. Are the services that the city of Titusville is providing? That's the question you have to ask yourselves amongst you spending our money. Are the services worth 36 cents more per day to live in the city of Titusville for 2021, 2022? Are those services worth it? It's a question you got to ask yourself. And elections have consequences, but so do votes. So just remember that. I mean, I'm all for a beautiful city. I'm all for it. But
Pay for it.
yeah, sure, we got to pay for it. But we as citizens have lives out there too. We don't work to fund the government. We work to be, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but yeah, 36 cents a day. And it's just, every year I hear, well, it's only this, it's only that, it's only this. Well, it's only that out of our money that's being stolen from us. So I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, and I'll stop. Thank you.
Mr. Stoffer, when was the last time we raised the water rates?
I wasn't just talking about water.
Last year, we raised the water rates 1%.
1%.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And solid waste, when was the last raise on solid waste?
Last year was 1%.
How much?
1%.
1%. All right. I appreciate what you guys do, and I appreciate doing it at the shoestring budget that we can give you. I appreciate that. All right. Any other, wait, I'm still on petitions or requests. Any other petitions or requests? No other petitions or requests. I now close the first budget hearing.
Yes, sir. And
You have petition and request, sir?
to note, the next and final public hearing will be September 15th at 5:30.
Okay, then I can close it. All right. All right, I now close the first budget hearing for the fiscal year 2022. And with that, that's the last we will talk about the budget at this time. But while we're together as a council, I just want to get your input. And this has nothing to do with budget. Basically, it's come to my thought, and city manager and I have discussed it. As we all know, our city has had a serious spike in our COVID cases. While not affecting our regular meetings, there is a question of how we, especially me as the mayor, should handle other public gathering events. As we know, the boards and commissions recognition event that was set for October has already been canceled due to the spike. Many of the people on those boards and commissions ask us to do that, and we agree. It's a concern. But now, I think, in an effort to be on the same page, that we need to decide that we think what we think we should do in the terms of me, or any of us for that matter, attending and or speaking as a representative of our city at events during this spike. I.e., should I or we be a part of large gatherings while our hospitalizations in our area are high as they are? Now, I will say, just at the last meeting, we were like 74 people in the ICU and dealing with COVID at our hospital. I think that's down into the 40s. However, at the height in the summer of 2020, 27 was the highest we had. So that's double that. I can tell you that at a football game this Friday that I coached in, we had a moment of silence for a dean at Osceola High School who was 28 years old and died of COVID. My son went to a funeral the Saturday before that for a 32-year-old in our city who died of COVID. I have concerns about us going out, me especially as the mayor, and as you've seen in my reports. I go a lot of places, speak at a lot of places, get involved with a lot of things. And I certainly, as I said here, I don't know, a month ago, I thought the game was over with COVID and we were moving forward, and I found out I was wrong. We're in overtime. So arbitrarily, I kind of tossed out there when asked to participate in something. I think we can readdress this November 1st, but until that time, I have a hard time going out. Certainly, it's a very important day, a very sad day for our country, coming on this Saturday, 9/11. There are several places that I could be. I guess I'm seeking input. What do we think about that? I hate to be the mayor who shows up and says, hey, y'all come out in the hundreds and come see me and I'll speak to you and all that. I don't mind doing that. I do that all the time. I'm concerned about the perception of going on like nothing happened and our numbers aren't up in our hospitals. I have concerns, and clearly I'm looking for input, Vice Mayor Nelson.
I agree with you. Our numbers are up, and when we're out there in the public, as somebody pointed out to me the other day, we're giving the impression that nothing has changed, everything's wonderful, and we're leaders, and I think we need to step back and be cautious. I agreed to go to a function Friday night, and I have to say I'm having second thoughts, because I'm like, I don't want people to feel like everything is normal, because we're not normal. The school board did it for 30 days. Maybe we should do it for 30 days, just not do anything for 30 days and see where we are.
And certainly we haven't changed our meetings. I think in some cases we take guidance from the state on that. And it's really not a matter of changing anything except where we feel we should be and it be as speakers. And it was just me going as Dan Diesel. That's different.
Yeah.
But me going wherever I go, it's you go as, especially when they ask you to go as the mayor. And it just started when we canceled the Boards and Commissions Awards banquet, or our recognition banquet, for October, because we were spiking so badly. And then I thought, well, how can I cancel this, or we cancel this, and then I go speak here and I speak there and I speak there. And it's like nothing's going on. I just got a little bit confused there. And again, the city manager and I spoke and kind of on the same page as you are. There needs to maybe be a recess. Member Jordan.
Yeah, of course, I'm pretty close to this thing, and I will tell you.
I was hoping you'd comment. I did.
Well, first of all, I will tell you on a personal note, I texted my pastor and told him I can't be the chairman of Parish Medical Center and then go to a gathering like that. That just, to me, it made no sense to me at all. If you're going to be a leader, especially during this time, it's real easy for us to want to just slide right back into what we're doing. The unfortunate thing is, as Americans, we tend to want what we want when we want it, and it's just unfortunate. But there are a lot of people suffering. At my school, I've got about 1,500 kids. At the peak of this thing 2 weeks ago, we had 500 kids out of school. About 200 of them actually had COVID. I mean, it's ridiculous. We can't teach because it's just too many, and even the staff. I mean, we have gone to taking our administrative support people to put them in the classroom because we don't have enough people from the outside who want to come in to teach our kids. And we're not doing a good job of teaching. We're dumbing down our kids, I will tell you that now. And it's just so unfortunate. Of course, we can't do the distant learning because that was taken away from us. And besides, most teachers, all of our teachers said, we do not want to do distant learning because what you have in the house is parents who's looking over the shoulders and telling the teacher that they're not teaching properly. So who wants to do that, for sure? Unfortunately, we had to stop showing the numbers of what is going on in the hospital because people were using the numbers wrongly. And a lot of people who don't want to wear masks, don't want to take the shot, they were looking at those numbers and thinking, oh, everything is getting better. Well, the truth of the matter is when you see the numbers going down, it's not that they're going down because things are getting better. It's because when you did see the numbers, those who were on ventilators, they died. That's how the numbers are going down. That's the reality of life. And if we just continue to do what we're doing right now, we're never going to get to where we want to go, for sure. I've got a meeting at my school board tomorrow. I'm going to have a lot of angry parents, those who say I'm taking away their liberties, I'm not taking away their liberties. And to me, the responsibility as we have as leaders is to protect life and to do whatever we possibly can do it. It's not about liberty. It's about the health and welfare of this community. And if we don't do anything and we let people just do whatever they want, the bottom line is we're going to be in worse shape. We were already in worse shape than we were at the top of the pandemic last year.
Right.
So I would suggest if we're going to be leaders, then we need to lead. Because if you continue to do the big meetings, and I almost say when you're outside, you're safer, which you are, but there's still the possibility. My principal had the shot, and she ended up with 105 temperature with COVID. And she said that if she hadn't had that shot, she felt that she would be dead. Right at Titusville High, we had a chef. He died from COVID. So I just suggest that we are as careful as we possibly can and be the leaders that we are. People are going to be angry with us no matter what you do, so we might as well be on the side of trying to keep people healthy and keep them safe.
And just so you know, I pretty much had already made in my own speaking terms, and you may notice the calendar's a little less full of what I have been doing. I arbitrarily threw out November 1st because, if nothing else, that also takes us right before Veterans Day when there could be some more events, but we'll also know a lot more on it. This thing has gone down, it's gone up. Is another variant going to pop up? I think that we need some time to look it over. And I brought it up because I wanted to make sure, first of all, as the mayor and by definition, the spokesperson and representative for our city and our council, but I know even when I wasn't mayor, I was invited certain places, and you guys will too. Well, I need to make sure that I'm not looking like the mayor says, well, we're going to hold on this until I've been saying November 1st, but yet we've got council members that are going hither, there, and yonder. I think we all need to be on the same page. If we have an event and they're introducing the dignitaries and I got 4 council members there and I'm not there because of our concern, we need to be on the same page.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
So, I mean, believe me, I'm torn because the thing I like to do most is represent Titusville, is get out there and be, be that person. But I also started looking at the numbers and seeing the people again. This Friday, 28-year-old dean at Osceola High School. They've had 9 administrators and teachers pass away in Dade County since school started. Holy cow. So sometimes it's a little tricky to me because it's like the game's not over. In some places, people have turned off the lights. It's not over. Go ahead.
I want to point out the 32-year-old that you were talking about. He was at the Carter House Wednesday. Thursday, he went to work. Thursday night, he was in the hospital. Saturday, he was dead. That's how quick it happened.
And not pointing any fingers, but we can't have this discussion without saying, get vaccinated, people. That being said, we're not taking a vote. This is just my input. I'm going to stay with the November 1st. Hold off on going to and representing our city as the mayor until that time. And if we come back next week, because we meet next week, and somebody says, I think we can make that shorter, we can discuss that too. But right now, that's where I'm going to hold it. And you guys agree, I'm assuming.
I don't believe in mandates at this point, and I'm going to just leave my comments that way. But if you choose to want us to do that, I am known to follow the instructions that I have been given.
Well, and I don't want to do it that way either, because I don't use the word mandate. And before you got on council, I was the one who was absolutely against making a mandate because, first of all, I don't want to make any rule I can't enforce. And I sure didn't when we're talking mask mandates in those states. I don't want to go back there, but I'm just saying I was against it. I didn't want my police department to become mask patrol and all those things. So the word mandate with me never lines up because, as a head football coach, don't make rules you can't enforce. I would like us to be on the same page.
Well, I concur with it. I'm not, if we have some events to attend and you have made the statement that you have, I don't have no problem not attending that event. But, you know.
And I'll be honest with you, I do have a problem not attending them. It's going to, and when those events happen, I'm going to be looking at my watch saying, I should be here.
Right.
But I don't know that that's the thing to do when other people are saying, he knows, he probably has the inside scoop and he's hanging out. So I think I got to be careful about that.
Right.
All right, that was what I wanted to add to the end there. City Manager, anything you want to add?
Yes, sir.
With that, in this unique kind of meeting, we vote on some things, we don't vote. I get voting on the first two things especially, but outside of that, I don't. Any other comments, questions, concerns? With that, we have performed our duties. Meeting adjourned.